Indianapolis, Indiana, located in the heartland of America, has the distinction of being known as the motorsports capital of the world. Once a year, the largest single-day sporting event anywhere in the world is staged at the prestige-laden Brickyard, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Indianapolis also hosts the drag race for the world of professional drag racing, the NHRA US Nationals, at the largest drag racing facility anywhere in the world, Indianapolis Raceway Park. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClelland, and welcome to the 31st annual running of the US Nationals. This is the race, the one with $1 million purse, the one that every drag racer wants to win. This is our 6th year of coverage by Diamond P Sports, and working with me today, as always, is my good friend, Steve Evans. Steve?
Dave, after last year's U.S. Nationals victory by Don Garlits, you and I both said, well, he'll never top this magic moment. Well, we may have been wrong, because if he can win here today, it could lead to a world championship. But there's one particular racer, Connie Coletta, an old nemesis, that wants to throw a monkey wrench into those plans. Earlier, I talked to Connie and Don. Now, he intentionally tried to get on the same side of the ladder to get you early. That's good strategy, I guess, on his part.
I don't believe that. I think he had a run of bad runs, because I saw the last run yesterday. He smoked the tires and shook.
Well, that's what he's saying anyway.
It's a good story.
Now, you had told me you were hanging back intentionally to get on the same side of the ladder to get him early. He says, baloney, Coletta's car just wasn't running well enough.
Well, that's funny, because the car run 262. We run 607. We rolled through the lights. We didn't want to run as quick. We wanted to 65, somewhere around at 565, and it's just so hard to guess doing something like that.
So you were sandbagging intentionally for strategy reasons?
Definitely, because the points championship, Don is 1,900 points ahead of me, and this is a point-and-a-half race, which is very, very critical. To even have a shot at the championship, to race him in the finals or semifinals for the next 3 races or 4 races that are left, it's impossible to beat him. So he has to go out early, and this is the best race because of the point situation. And it's a gamble, and up until a couple of months ago, the car wasn't even in contention for it, but the breaks that come out at Brainerd, also at Denver, it's changing the perspective on it.
Oh boy, this is going to be some kind of race between those two, and it's coming up in the second round of Top Fuel Eliminator. In Funny Car, the story is all Kenny Bernstein. He's leading the World Championship, could even clinch it here. He has 4 qualifying runs, all within 1/100th of a second of each other. A potential new speed record. Bernstein has done it all. In Pro Stock, well, the fans here are rooting for Indiana native Bob Glidden. He's won many times here, may well again. He's qualified number 1. But look out for Bruce Allen in the Rear-End Morrison Camaro, and of course, the always tough Warren Johnson, the defending champion.
WJ, one to watch. For 31 years, the U.S. Nationals has been that special race. The one single race where the fans can cheer for their favorites, see some incredible upsets, and watch ingenuity in action as America's top racers try new innovations. Top Fuel dragsters have appeared like they all came from the same mold until, that is, Diamond Dave Miller showed up. Dave's car is about 10 feet shorter than any other car in the field. In the first round of racing, Miller squared off against Darrell Gwynn, who, as the number 4 qualifier, may have had the advantage in elapsed time, but not in the hearts of those who cheer for the underdog. Miller's car, sporting wings where none are seen on the conventional Top Fuel dragster, the engine sitting in a far different location than its counterparts, the car and driver a question mark in many racers' eyes until he qualified with a 5:73 elapsed time. Then everyone took him seriously. Gwynn and Miller left the starting line, truly the long and the short of it. Gwynn won, but for Dave Miller, a thrill never to be forgotten, remembering his own words, "There is no anguish known to the human race as the pain of a new idea."
Well, when you've been out and out laughed at for trying something new in the Top Fuel Eliminator category, those are pretty appropriate sentiments. But nobody's laughing now, Dave. Maybe you lost here in the first round, but what a job. 5:70 elapsed times in a car about 10 feet shorter than anybody's got.
We sure have had a good time this weekend, and a lot of help from all the people, Gene Snow, Don Garlits. They've all given us a hand. I've tried to put it to good use. We would have done a little better. I guess I hazed the tires there, but I was trying to do good.
You know, a lot of people didn't think you'd come back from that horrific fire at Brainerd, Minnesota.
That was a bad one. We wanted to be at Indy. We spent 2 weeks putting it back together, a little less paint. Put together what pieces I had left, and I'm out of pistons. I had enough to do one more round. That was it.
Well, on behalf of a lot of people that are eating a little crow right now, congratulations on a good effort. And I know it's going to go better.
I really appreciate it. It's the happiest day of my life to this point in my career.
The U.S. Nationals attracts competitors from throughout the world. A new face in funny car that astonished racers and fans alike is the veteran campaigner from down under, Graham Cowan of Sydney, Australia.
Well, I tell you what, Steve, this is probably the highlight of my career. Well, not probably, it is a highlight of my career. And I'm proud to be a part of this NHRA deal here. And I'm very, very proud of my country, Australia. And this is the toughest field in history. And boy, I'm just doing handstands about this deal.
Well, down under, you already have the America's Cup. Now you want the U.S. Nationals trophy.
Well, that's where that boxing kangaroo came from. That was the America's Cup deal. So we stole it off them. So maybe that's a good luck charm, right?
Good luck to you.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
Racing Cowan in the first round was John Force, the number 3 qualifier. Cowan's qualifying time of 5.77 seconds served notice he can race with the best, and Force had to work hard for a close victory. Winning in just the last few feet, Force had a tremendous supercharger explosion that caused no injury to the driver, but serious damage to his race car. A tremendous amount of repair work now faces the Force crew to try to make the second round of racing. An expensive win for John Force. The 31st Annual U.S. Nationals is being brought to you by Ford. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. And by Goodyear. Goodyear tires and Goodyear service for more good years in your car. We're getting set for the second round of Top Fuel Racing, and 2 drivers wrapped in their own thoughts. Connie Coletta trying to stop the charge of this man, Big Daddy Don Garlits, aiming for a repeat U.S. Nationals title, and he hopes a decisive move toward the World Championship. At the U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis, Indiana, this may be the most important single race of the year for Connie Coletta. As you heard him say earlier, he is trying to make a move in the World Championship point standings against the current points leader, Don Garlits. And now, in round number 2 racing at the Nationals, Connie Coletta has his chance to meet Don Garlits. Coletta has won 2 national titles thus far this season, but Big Daddy Don Garlits has won 4, giving him a points lead of some 1,900 points coming into this event. This race is a rematch of the 1984 Top Fuel Final. In winning that race, Garlits began a comeback that has been unparalleled in the sport of championship drag racing. But you have to know that Connie Coletta has his sights on gaining a measure of revenge for the loss suffered last season to this man, Don Garlits, and also picking up some valuable ground in that World Championship points chase. Garlits crew chief Herb Parks doing some work on the fuel delivery system, the injectors, making an adjustment right on the starting line just before the race. Garlits gets the word A-OK and approaches the starting line. Garlits qualified in the number 3 position, while Coletta filled the number 7 slot in the 16-car field that started competition here at the Nationals. Garlits off the line first, and he's got about a half a car length lead. It is a close race, and Garlits wins it. The crew reflecting the intense competition, 5.63 seconds elapsed time. His speed over 261 miles an hour, but Don Garlits gave Connie Coletta a driving lesson. As you can see, Garlits was the one off the starting line first. He continued to build on that advantage as the 2 cars traveled down the quarter-mile racing surface. As they neared the finish line, Garlits had extended his lead to nearly a full car length and took the all-important win.
Don, a lot of people were saying that could be the race of the day, and they certainly were not disappointed.
It was a good race, and the car ran good. It was clean. I'm surprised it didn't run any better than 563.
Well, that's what it ran. It looked like maybe it fell behind just a little bit at the start.
Might have. It acted like it didn't have quite enough clutch in it.
Where did you make your move on him?
Right at the top of low gear.
Was there ever a time you were a little concerned maybe you weren't going to get around him or stay ahead of him?
Because it happens real quick out through low gear, you know. That's where they make. If he'd have went out in front of me in low gear, it'd have been all over.
Well, that's the one you had to stop. You get Joe Amato probably next.
Yeah. Good race.
Connie Coletta and Don Garlits. There was a lot of friendly conversation before this race. But Connie, just one thing, you threw everything you had at him. He just had a little more.
Yeah, it just did. The car went out and shook the tires. We thought we had enough power to pull it through the shake, and it didn't work.
You had some fun with this one, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I tried. What can you say? You know, you go for broke on it and do it.
And the fans thank you. I thank you for a great show. That was one car race.
All right, who run what?
You ran 5:63. You ran a little bit slower.
I see. All right, well, whatever.
A great race by two masters, Garlits and Coletta. Meantime, back in the funny car pit area, there's lots of work going on John Force's car. There's one entire crew that is concentrating their efforts on replacing the windshield in the fiberglass body. Meantime, a rival funny car crew that's already been eliminated from competition is replacing the supercharger that exploded in the round number 1 race. On the starting line, we see the 3-time world champion, Shirley Muldowney, attending her first drag race since that horrendous accident over a year ago. She hopes to be able to return to competition in 1986. Shirley is watching two racers she has competed against many times, Joe Amato and Gene Snow. Qualifying in the number 5 spot, Gene Snow defeated Hank Endres in round number 1, while Joe Amato, the number 1 qualifier, defeated a former world champion, Gary Beck, in that first round of racing. Joe Amato is in the far lane. In the near lane is Gene Snow. A great start for Snow. A tremendous race, and Joe Amato, by less than a car length, wins it 5.60 seconds. His speed over 252 miles an hour. That advances Amato, who is currently number 2 in the world points chase, into the semifinal. This is Dick LaHaye, winner of the Gator Nationals this season. LaHaye is racing Gary Ormsby. The last time Ormsby tasted victory in NHRA competition was the 1984 Winter Nationals. Joe Amato checking over his car after that second round win. He knows if he is to repeat as the world champion, he has got to make a move at this race trying to catch Don Garlits. But now on the starting line, it is Gary Ormsby. Ormsby qualified second, some of the best performance of his career at 5.51 seconds. Dick LaHaye qualified 6th at 5.60 and defeated former pro football star Dan Pastorini in round number 1. The crew chief on Dick LaHaye's car is his daughter, Kim. She performs all the heavy work, all the tune-up work, along with her dad. Two of the finest independent racers in the country. Another independent is Gary Ormsby. He's in the far lane. Staging into those electronic light beams across the starting line, ever so gently, and a great start for Dick LaHaye. Can he hold off Ormsby? It's going to be close, and at the finish by just a few feet, Gary Ormsby wins it. Ormsby, 5.63 seconds elapsed time. His speed over 256 miles an hour, and that's one of the closest races we have seen all day. At the starting line, you see LaHaye's advantage. LaHaye in the left-hand lane pulls ahead of Ormsby right at the start. But Ormsby, reaching deep, finds some horsepower and pulls ahead, taking the win.
Well, a lot of the pre-race talk has been about Don Garlits and Connie Coletta and Joe Amato, while this man, Gary Ormsby, has been very quietly running his quicker than any of them. Gary, you're going into the semis of 5.62.
Yeah, I need a little bit there. That was a close race.
Yeah, you were behind a little bit right at the start, it looked like.
Yeah, he may have got out on me a little bit there. I didn't want to take a chance up there. I knew I had the power, and like I said, I was getting to wonder a little bit, though, towards the end there. It was plenty close.
You know, you won the Winter Nationals a year or so ago, but there's nothing like winning this one.
Oh, I'd love to win this, Steve. It's for the guys, and they're the ones making this thing run today, so we want to win it for them and for everybody.
Right, let's go back to the starting line right now, Gary, and see who you're going to race in the next round.
Steve, Gary Ormsby will be concentrating on the next pair, but most particularly this young man, 23-year-old Darrell Gwynn. Gwynn racing against Bob Simmons, doing a dramatic side-by-side burnout. Darrell has already made it to the finals of an NHRA national event this year, losing to Don Garlits at the Summer Nationals. Here he qualified 4th, defeating, as we saw, Diamond Dave Miller in round 1. He's racing the number 16 qualifier, Bob Simmons. Bob had an easy go of it in the first round as his competition, Bill Mullins, was unable to keep his engine running. That problem started on the final day of qualifying as Mullins suffered a horrendous blower explosion, exploding into a ball of fire, creating a lot of problems for the Mullins and John Kerry crew. They worked through the night, trying to get the car back together into competitive form, but in the first round, Mullins was unable to keep the engine running, and it was a gift for Bob Simmons. He calls himself the New Englander. Simmons has got to be the underdog in this race. He is utilizing the only Donovan racing engine in competition today in the nitro-burning classes. Darrell Gwynn in the near lane. Simmons trying to keep control of his car as it heads towards the center line, and it is Darrell Gwynn. The crew responding enthusiastically to the 5.57-second win. It'll be Gwynn against Ormsby, with Darrell Gwynn having lane choice. Joe Amato against Don Garlits. Amato getting the lane choice by the quicker elapsed time. We'll be right back. A huge crowd jamming into Indianapolis Raceway Park for the 31st annual running of the U.S. Nationals, and there's action in the pit area as well as on the track. Joe Amato is facing the race of the day as far as he's concerned in his quest for a repeat World Championship title. He is racing against Don Garlits. Tim Richards and the entire crew hard at work getting that 2,500 horsepower engine ready to go to meet Big Daddy. Meantime, in Garlits' pit area, the crew hard at work. There's a lot at stake in this race. 1.5 times the points value of a normal national event are at stake in the World Championship points chase, particularly in this race between Garlits, the leader, and Amato, currently number 2. Outside the pit area, one of Garlits' longtime competitors is looking on.
I'm with a very special lady, Shirley Muldowney, in front of the pits of an old rival of hers, Don Garlits. And look at all of these fans that have turned out to greet you here, Shirley. Your first time back to the drag races.
It feels good, Steve. Everyone has been really nice, and I think they're happy to see us back, in whatever capacity. But
must have sounded good, that first pair of dragsters when they started up.
Wonderful. Sounded real good, especially Garlits' car.
And I see your pal and your crew chief, Ron Tolber. He's around here looking very close, like he wants to race.
Well, sure, we all want to race, but he's watching combinations and watching everyone's mistakes, and we're just kind of casing the joint, so to speak.
Nice to see you again. You look great.
Thank you, Steve. Nice to see you, too.
Steve, we're looking forward, as is everyone, to the return to competition of Shirley Muldowney. Competition now, it's time for the funny cars at the U.S. Nationals. Our first pair here in round number 2, we find Jim Head racing against John Force, whose crew chief Austin Coyle did a masterful job in getting this car ready to race Jim Head. Qualifying in the 15th spot, Jim Head is the defending champion. He beat Tom Hoover in round number 1, while John Force, you saw him explode that supercharger, qualified in the number 3 position. One of the keys to the 2,500 horsepower plus of these nitro-burning engines is that supercharger. Earlier, Steve took a look.
Here, bolted to a handy stand on the door of Darrell Gwynn's trailer, is the heart and soul of these nitro-burning engines, be they Top Fuel dragsters or funny cars. Virtually everybody has the same cylinder block and pistons and rods and camshafts and crankshafts, but above that, everybody has a different combination. The fuel injector here, air rushes in the front, bolted to this 1471 supercharger. The rotor's whirling inside at about 50% the speed of the engine, or twice the speed of the engine. The blower bolted to the manifold. Now, the fuel comes up from the pump, also another important part of the system, into the fuel system, where it's distributed in a maze of lines and nozzles, all of which can be changed to tune the engine. Now, every racer hopes that he's got some secret in his fuel system. They don't share much knowledge about this part of the engine. Everybody trying to get the advantage here.
And Steve, as we've seen, if something major goes wrong, it's generally in the supercharger. Off the starting line goes John Force, up in smoke, the defending champion, and John Force, the performance back. Regardless of what happened in the previous round, John Force serves notice. 5.79 seconds, 246 miles an hour. He tells his competition, just disregard that supercharger explosion. Back at the starting line, the next pair of cars getting ready to go. The body coming down on the car driven by Rick Johnson and owned by Roland Leong. After nearly 2 decades in the sport of championship drag racing, Roland Leong has got quite a season to his credit. That season is capped by the quickest elapsed time ever in funny car history, recorded at the Winter Nationals at Pomona, California, and seen on Diamond P Sports as Rick Johnson notched a 5.58-second elapsed time in the quickest side-by-side race in history. Johnson beat Kenny Bernstein in that race, but here at the Nationals, he's matched against Little John Lombardo, driving for Raymond Beadle. Let's go to Steve with John Force.
Seldom does any competitor come back after a disastrous blower explosion with a 574 and a patched-up race car.
Got a real good race team. Coyle's got them guys busting their backs, and got to thank a Chi-Town team came over, and that takes a lot for another team come over there and help you, and they did, and she came. What'd she run?
574 with a great hole shot to boot.
Dog, she come right back again. My old boy's good. Just got to make enough money, keep him on the payroll.
Steve, you gave him about 0.05 of a second too much. John actually ran a 579, but there's no shame in that as his crew chief, Austin Coyle, and the crew did their job. Here on the starting line, it's little John Lombardo at the wheel of the Blue Max. Since Lombardo took over the driving chores for Raymond Beadle, he has had a trouble-plagued season. Yet to win a national event, John Lombardo qualified 8th here with a fine 5.74 seconds. For Rick Johnson, a number 4 qualifying spot at 5.72 seconds. Both cars evenly matched. There's some problems apparently with Roland Leong. You see him going under the car. He is reaching for the fuel system, giving the word to shut it off. Starter Buster Couch says no, let him take it to the line. And Rick Johnson, following the directions of Starter Buster Couch, heads to the starting line to race against little John Lombardo. The crew intently watching the Christmas tree starting device as both drivers creep into those staging beams. A green light start, and it is John Lombardo out in front. Rick Johnson valiantly trying to hold on, but to the finish line first by several car lengths. Another 5.77 second elapsed time. Very consistent is Lombardo, and very disappointed is Roland Leong. Going over to talk to Buster Couch, Roland Leong receives the condolences and knows there will be another day for he and his driver, Rick Johnson. This is Ed the Ace McCulloch driving for car owner Larry Minor. Early in his career, McCulloch recorded 2 back-to-back U.S. Nationals titles in funny car back in 1971 and 72. He won again this championship title in 1980. McCulloch will be racing against one of the hottest cars on the circuit this season. This is the Buick Somerset-bodied car of Dale Paulding. As Paulding gets ready to do his burnout, let's go down to Steve Evans with Rick Johnson.
Well, oftentimes in the starting line, the driver is the last to know what the problem was. Rick, do you have any idea?
No, the throttle stuck way up for some reason on the smoky burnout. They told me to shut it off. Well, I couldn't shut it off, not this far along. I still don't see what's wrong. For some reason, the motor was just idling about 2,000 RPMs too fast. And I tried to leave with him and had a fairly close race score, and then the motor went away in the middle, so I just turned it off.
With the RPMs up that high, it can be hard to hold him with the brake as well.
Well, I had to use the clutch pedal and stuff to keep it up there, and thought maybe I could squirt out on him there pretty good with the motor up. Did the best I could. I just couldn't win.
Sure did.
Thanks, Steve.
A disappointing day for Rick Johnson, the quickest driver in all of funny car racing. On the starting line, Dale Paulding completing his burnout procedure. It's been quite a day thus far for the Paulding and Hamby team. They qualified in the number 9 spot, and in the first round upset the number 1 qualifier, Tom McEwen. His competition, Ed McCulloch, qualified 13th, 5.82 seconds, defeating Paul Smith in round number 1. Paulding will be in the far lane in the Buick. In the Oldsmobile in the near lane, it is Ed McCulloch. Both cars into the staging beams. An equal start. A little bit of smoke off of Paulding's tires. McCulloch heads towards the guardrail, and it is a great victory for Dale Paulding. Smoking out some pistons, burning an engine possibly at the finish. Dale Paulding pulls out a win by just a couple of 3 feet. As we look again, you see both cars leaving the starting line as if they were one. But in reality, Dale Paulding was 0.03 of a second quicker off the starting line. Paulding's tires started to smoke, indicating a loss of traction. He recovered nicely, though, and at the finish line, the margin of difference was only 0.02 of a second, McCulloch the quicker. It was Paulding's starting line reactions that won the race.
It looked like it wanted to smoke the tires.
It tried everything it could to smoke the tires and stuff, and we've been having that trouble here all week, and this car usually never shakes or anything, and it's doing it here all weekend long. So we've got a little problem. We just got to figure it out.
You'll do it.
Thank you.
Dale Paulding advancing to the semifinals of Funny Car Eliminator. Back in the Garlett's Pit area, the engine now together. The final touches by the master himself. We'll be coming right back with more funny car action from the U.S. Nationals. Back at the U.S. Nationals, I'm Dave McClelland along with Steve Evans, and we're in little John Lombardo's pit area. He has yet to find out who his competition will be in the semifinal round as our final pair of funny cars in this round of racing are approaching the burnout area. It is Kenny Bernstein, the man that has dominated racing throughout all of this season and has been the talk of competition here at the Nationals. Bernstein is racing one of the greats in this sport, Don Prudhomme. Winning the World Championship title 4 times, Don Prudhomme has an enviable record here at the Nationals. He's won the Funny Car crown 3 times and the Top Fuel crown twice, dating as far back as 1969. But this season, it's Kenny Bernstein, winner of 5 events thus far throughout 1985, and a virtual lock on that World Championship. Don Prudhomme qualified in the number 6 spot, regaining the performance level he has reached in years past, while Kenny Bernstein qualified second with a 5.69 seconds, defeating Tim Gross in the first round. Bernstein getting directions from his crew chief, Dale Armstrong. The final check of Prudhomme's car by his crew, headed by Bob Brandt. Bernstein in the far lane, Prudhomme in the near lane. And it is Bernstein off the mark first. At the finish line by several car lengths, Kenny Bernstein continues to extend his win streak. 5.70 seconds at 256 miles an hour. So in the semifinals, it'll be Bernstein against Lombardo, with Kenny having the lane choice. John Force goes against Dale Paldy, and John Force has the lane choice there. We're getting set now for those factory hot rods, the Pro Stocks. The semifinal round of racing finds Bruce Allen against Tony Christian. Let's join Kenny Bernstein with Steve.
The most impressive display of consistency ever seen in the sport of funny car racing. Another 570, 5 runs within 1/100th of a second.
Well, I tell you, they sure got it computerized today, don't they?
Wait a minute, you're a little part of this, huh?
Oh, yeah, but, you know, Dale and the guys have just done super, and they make it easy when the car runs good. You know, when it's running bad, it's hard to drive, but when it's running good, it's a lot easier for you. You have a lot of confidence.
Well, they can't get it off the starting line. You've got to do that.
Well, I appreciate it, Steve. We're just happy we're still going, and hopefully we can put this thing away today.
Steve back at the starting line. The 2 Pro Stocks in this semi-final race are getting ready to do their burnout. Bruce Allen against this man, Tony Christian, driving the Luciani Lucky and Christian Pontiac Firebird. And a bit of surprise is Tony Christian. But Bruce Allen is not a surprise. Taking over the driving chores from the late Lee Shepard, he qualified second. In the second round of competition, he defeated Butch Leal. And that was a rematch of a race just 1 day ago in the Mr. Gasket Pro Stock Challenge final, when Bruce Allen took the measure of Butch Leal for $15,000 cash in that single race. The Mr. Gasket Pro Stock Challenge is actually a race within a race. To earn the right to compete, the 8 drivers had to earn points based on qualifying throughout an entire season of competition. They met here just 1 day ago. It boiled down to this run, and Bruce Allen defeated Butch Leal in the final. Steve talked with Bruce after the race.
A lot of the folks down here, maybe wagering a bob or two one way or the other, all thought that Leal would leave the starting line first and you'd drive around him. You left first by 200. You did it all.
Now, Butch is an awful good driver. It's awful hard to beat him. And that just makes you all the more pumped. You know, you go up there knowing that you've got to leave on time, and that just, it's always a great race.
You, my friend, are an awfully good driver as well.
Oh, I'm still the weak link in our organization, but I'm going to improve.
Well, I don't think that Reardon Morrison would agree with that right now. They are the Mr. Gasket Pro Stock Challenge champions. Butch Leal coming in with a word of congratulations.
And Steve, there are some who say that Bruce Allen may well be the best Pro Stock driver ever. He is racing against Tony Christian, the upset-minded one, who defeated David Hutchins in round number 1, took the measure of Frank Iaconio in the second round, and he is here racing Bruce Allen in the semifinal. Christian in the far lane, Allen in the near lane, a Chevrolet against a Pontiac. And it's a red light start for Tony Christian. He's disqualified for leaving the starting line too soon. Before the green light came on, Bruce Allen wins it with a fine 7.70 second elapsed time. He moves into the finals. You're sitting inside the Ford Thunderbird of Bob Glidden. On the outside as he does his burn. burnout, his wife and crew chief Etta Glidden look on. He is following the directions of his son Billy. Standing out in front of the car, you get a driver's eye view of a dry burnout, the little hop that brings him to the starting line. Bob Glidden, the #1 qualifier, 7.57 seconds, defeated Don Kuntz in the second round of competition. W.J. Warren Johnson, the #3 qualifier, defeated Gorda Rivera in the second round. Here the Oldsmobile is in the far lane, the Ford Thunderbird in the near lane. This is the semifinals of Pro Stock. Looking on as Bob Glidden brings the car into the staging beam, and he leaves off the starting line with a tremendous hole shot. Bob Glidden has got the advantage over Johnson at the finish line by half a car length, and showing the emotion is Etta Glidden and son Billy as Bob Glidden advances to the finals with a 7.66 second elapsed time at 181 miles an hour. The finals, Ford versus Chevrolet, Bob Glidden against Bruce Allen. As we watch again, it was the driving job by Bob Glidden as Warren Johnson very late off the starting line. You see Billy Glidden cheering. He knows right then, unless his dad makes a mistake, he is in the finals. As they come down towards the finish line, Bob Glidden in the near lane in the Ford Thunderbird holds on to that half a car length advantage. And at the finish line, there you have it. Bob Glidden, the slower car, but his reactions at the start paid off for the win. And these exclusive Diamond P Sports Vision Group pictures from inside Bob's car, courtesy of Chief Auto Parts. Chief keeps it running, and by Ford. Have you driven a Ford lately? And in the pit area, the force in funny car racing this season, Kenny Bernstein is getting ready for his semifinal race against Little John Lombardo. But out on the starting line, all ready to go, is Big Daddy Don Garlits. This the important race in the semifinal round as Garlits tries to zero in on another world championship. There's trouble in the staging lanes at the U.S. Nationals with one of our top fuel semifinalists. They're changing the air shifter on Darrell Gwynn's car. The air shifter is the control mechanism, the device that handles the shifting chores of that two-speed transmission. But they better hurry because our first pair of cars are already running and getting set to go. It is Big Daddy Don Garlits in quest of another U.S. Nationals title and, most importantly, the World Champion's crown. This is the man that holds that title, the defending world champ, Joe Amato. Amato started the season off with a bang, winning the Winter Nationals. He led the points chase until about a third of the way through the year, and then Don Garlits took over the lead. And right now, Don Garlits has got the performance standard on everybody in this field. Garlits has already won 4 events this season, tying him with several other racers for that important record. Garlits has got the advantage off the starting line. Amato oh so close. And at the finish line, driving away is Don Garlits into the finals yet again at the U.S. Nationals. 5.56 seconds, the top speed of the meet at over 263 miles an hour. Let's watch again. You see the advantage building up to Garlits off the starting line. Amato keeps it close for at least 3/4 of this race. As they neared the finish line, though, it was the Garlits horsepower coming to play. He just drove away from Joe Amato, setting top speed.
Well, I watched Don Garlits getting his car ready, and he kept saying, all I got to do is beat the world champion. That's all I got to do. You did it. 263 miles an hour.
Pretty good run in this kind of heat.
Indeed, you leaned on it for Joe Amato, it looks like. It's kind of cooking over here.
I couldn't take any chances. I mean, this is a pivotal race in this World Championship Series. I want to win this thing. It's very important to me.
Does this take any pressure off at all, as far as you're concerned?
No, there's more pressure now than ever. I got to beat that kid. And that kid, we call him the Wolf, and he's hungry.
Let me tell you what, it may be the kid, then again, it could be Gary Ormsby that will face Big Daddy next round. Let's go back to the starting line and find out.
Steve Don Garlits showing uncharacteristic emotion as he gets set to find out who he'll be racing in the finals. Will it be this man, the 23-year-old upstart that Garlits defeated at this year's Summer Nationals Championship? That's Darrell Gwynn. Or will it be Gary Ormsby? Garlits has not had an easy day. In the first round, he defeated Larry Minor. Then he defeated Connie Coletta. And finally, the #2 man in the points chase, Joe Amato.
Joe, I know how badly you wanted that one. The World Championship may now be an impossibility for you, really.
Yeah, Steve, it's going to take a long shot to come in here now because he's running good, and maybe if somebody can get him in the final, that'll be another 300 points difference. But we gave it our best shot. I feel bad for the crews and the sponsors that are helping me out because the pressure's on the driver, and you want to go out there and do a good job. And I thought the car would pick up a little more horsepower. We made some adjustments, but apparently the heat came in pretty good, and we weren't sharp enough on the tune-up a little bit.
But you have to leave here feeling a little bit better because the combination's definitely back.
Yeah, the car's running good. We're confident that it's going to be an exciting year till the finish line here, and it's not over yet.
Always a gentleman, even in defeat, is Joe Amato. Here's one man that wants to win. This is Darrell Gwynn. He's just starting his career. Gary Ormsby continuing on with success that he has enjoyed thus far this day, but it's to be denied at this point. A red light start for Gary Ormsby, and it will be a rematch of the Summer Nationals. Darrell Gwynn with a 5.60 second elapsed time, meeting Don Garlits, with Garlits getting lane choice in the final of Top Fuel. Funny car eliminator. Here's John Force. After that lower explosion, no one figured that Force would be anything to be reckoned with in funny car competition. But here he is in the semifinals to race against Dale Paulding. And listen to that crowd cheering for Big Daddy Don Garlits as he heads down to the return road to get ready for his final round match against the young man, Darrell Gwynn.
Your second final round in your second year of racing. Terrific.
Well, I can't thank everybody enough that supported the car, all the manufacturers, everything. I just can't thank them enough.
Garlits calls you the wolf because you're hungry, you say.
You got it, very hungry.
The challenge of youth, Darrell Gwynn against the grand old man of Top Fuel Racing, Big Daddy Don Garlits. We'll be seeing that in just a moment. But right now, Dale Paulding in the lane nearest the camera. In the far lane is John Force. The winner of this will advance to the finals of Funny Car. Both drivers very cautious as their staging is continued and brought to a conclusion. They're ready. A green light start. And it is Paulding with just a few inches advantage off the starting line. He holds it at the finish, and Dale Paulding goes into the final. 5.79 second elapsed time. His speed 249 miles an hour. John Force trying his best to catch him, but that margin of difference at the starting line paid off at the finish. You see there, Dale Paulding defeating John Force, earning the right to go into the finals to race one of these two drivers. It is John Lombardo at the wheel of the Blue Max in the near lane against Kenny Bernstein. Bernstein has had an incredible string of elapsed times. Nothing over 5.70 seconds in the last 5 runs. And Lombardo with the advantage off the starting line, and this may be the upset of the meet. It is little John Lombardo in the Blue Max into the finals against Dale Paulding as Kenny Bernstein goes down to defeat. Lombardo will have lane choice in the Funny Car Finals when we come back to the U.S. Nationals. You're inside the car with Bob Glidden as he gets set for the championship round. The Ford Thunderbird of Bob Glidden against the Chevrolet Camaro of Rare and Morrison. Bruce Allen at the wheel. It will be Allen in the near lane driving the Chevrolet Camaro while Bob Glidden sits on the far side of the racetrack. They approach the staging beam. Glidden concentrating down track, looking at the Christmas tree, deciding how close does he want to try to cut that tree. And at the start, it is Glidden out first. He's got the advantage. Can he hold on to win? The winningest driver in NHRA history takes another one. Bob Glidden wins the Pro Stock Championship as the family of Bob and Etta Glidden congratulate each other and anyone else that will listen as Bob Glidden has won again the U.S. Nationals. Let's look again and see just where he did it. It is at the start. You see the advantage going to the Ford Thunderbird as Glidden pulls ahead of Allen. And that's what won him the race. Right now, let us ride with Bob Glidden all the way down this racetrack in the championship win over Bruce Allen. You're taking a ride in the Ford Thunderbird as Glidden takes you through the timing trap at 182 miles an hour and takes the win.
Was there any concern at all when you went to the starting line with your power plant, with your equipment?
No, I don't think so. We had changed engines before the semifinal round.
and we'd made a very poor run, and I guess we went a 66. But we had tire shake, and we knew we could pick up a little bit. I had a little bit of shake that run, but I short shifted third and fourth gear knowing that he was behind a little bit rather than take a chance, so it turned out well.
Even got off the mark first.
Must have been a pretty good leave on both of us.
It was a great race. Again, congratulations, Bob, Etta Glidden, and the whole crew of this Thunderbird race car. Now you can go console the loser.
Bob Glidden heading over to console Bruce Allen is on the starting line. It's Little John Lombardo against Dale Palde. Here's the final for Funny Car Eliminator. Lombardo has had a season plagued with trouble. He is just now beginning to regain the performance standards that had been the hallmark of that Blue Max. For Dale Palde, he has had a great season. The car consistent in the 570s, and what a close match this is. It is John Lombardo pulling ahead in just the last few feet, and the Blue Max crew, Fred Miller on his knees giving thanks. The car owner, Raymond Beadle, receiving the congratulations. And what a show in Funny Car as Little John Lombardo defeats Dale Palde. Here we see it happen. In just the last few feet, Little John Lombardo pulls ahead and becomes the champ.
Your driving has been just perfection, really.
Well, we've been holding our own, I think, everywhere.
There'll be a party somewhere tonight in Indianapolis.
Oh, I'm sure there will.
Little John Lombardo, his first ever U.S. Nationals title, a calm guy.
Only one question left to be answered at this 31st annual U.S. Nationals. Can Don Garlits repeat as the Top Fuel champ? The 31st annual U.S. Nationals has one race remaining for the championship in Top Fuel Eliminator. It is the veteran at the age of 53, Don Garlits, racing against the newcomer at the age of 23, Darrell Gwynn. Two Florida racers, Garlits from Ocala, Gwynn from Miami. If anybody has got to be a favorite, it is Don Garlits. He is a six-time U.S. Nationals champion, winning his title here first in 1964. Darrell Gwynn has raced Garlits once in the finals already this year. It came at the Summer Nationals earlier this season, and Gwynn was defeated. Don Garlits has won 4 national titles this season. If he should win this race, it would move him into the undisputed lead as the all-time winner of events in a single season. Darrell Gwynn is out to stop that. But you know it's got to be going through his mind. He is racing against the legend of Top Fuel, Don Garlits, who at the age of 53 is at the peak of his career, aiming for another world championship. Garlits in the near lane, Gwynn in the far lane. The advantage to Garlits off the starting line. Gwynn smoking the tires. He's working to keep the car under control. And Don Garlits wins his 5th national event title this season and his 7th U.S. Nationals crown. What a victory by Don Garlits, and certainly the most popular win of the day to this huge crowd gathered for the 31st running of the Nationals. You can see Gwynn, the tires smoking, the car trying to go out of control. The young driver, a great job keeping it between the guardrail and the center line.
Two drivers from Florida, both with the initials DG, 30 years difference in their age, and it's the experience that pays off, the handling, the motor building. Don Garlits, congratulations. 2 in a row, and how many now, U.S. Nationals titles?
This is the 7th one.
No one else can say that in any category.
No, I don't know. I sometimes I don't keep track of them, but this is the race, you know. It's where it really counts.
Did you and the young man have any conversation before you climbed in?
Oh, we certainly did. We both told each other to have a safe ride. Darrell and I are the dearest of friends. And of course, I'm smart enough to realize I'm not going to be doing this forever, and Darrell's going to be doing it a lot longer than I am. I'll tell you, he is a young comer.
You called him the Wolf.
He is the wolf, and he's hungry.
And these points will go a long way towards a world championship, something you want so badly for you and your crew and your wife and family.
Yes, it's an important thing to us, and it'll cushion our lead. It doesn't make us the winner, but it'll cushion us a little bit. We can not quite so much pressure.
Congratulations again. Don Garlits, U.S. Nationals champion, 2 years in a row.
Our congratulations to all the winners at the Nationals. For Steve Evans, this is Dave McClellan saying so long from Indianapolis. The 1985 U.S. Nationals has been brought to you by Hawaiian Punch. Nothing tastes like Hawaiian Punch. You only have to taste it once, so go Hawaiian. And by Goodyear. Goodyear tires and Goodyear service for more good years in your car. And by Motorcraft. Quality parts for all makes of cars and trucks. Motorcraft exceeds the need. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by the Style Auto World Championship Team, the nation's premier source of fast lane fashion, the champion's choice for the style of your life. And by Rent-A-Wreck. When you need a car, rent a used car and save. Call Rent-A-Wreck. And by Persona Razor, tough guy personified. Get a smooth shave that's not tough on your wallet. Get personified. And by Myoflex, when it hurts, it helps. For temporary relief of aches, pains, and stiffness with no odor, grease, or burning. Myoflex, ask your pharmacist. They recommend it #1. And by Konica. Konica CV301 color video camera weighs only 1.6 pounds and is designed for easy use. Features advanced video technology furnished by Konica. Coverage of the 1985 NHRA US Nationals has been a presentation of Diamond P Sports.